Hello and welcome to another dungeon walkthrough video. This time around, I'll be tackling a new Gazillion title challenge, aka SN5, with this team. The point of this team is to easily farm this dungeon for the boss gems to eventually exchange for the new Gregs. As far as I know, the drop rate for the breakable parts is a little over 10%, so I'll need 9 part break awakenings to ensure that I get at least 3 gem drops. The main body has a chance of dropping another gem, but this one is not affected by part break awakenings, but rather by dungeon boosts, which unfortunately I have no space for, so I'll just have to settle for at least 3 drops. The subs here are irreplaceable, so if you don't have them, I would recommend looking for another team, especially if you only care about only clearing this dungeon one time for the title or the magic stone. Take this team for example. It's NA friendly and very budget. Check the description for the video link. But back to my team. If you have all of these units, you can just jump to here for the steps and the walkthrough. But for the next few minutes, I'll give a brief overview of the team and talk about some possible equip replacements. The 3 Omnimons and Joe don't really need an introduction. They all handle orb generation and damage void and absorption shields. Chibi Stella is a Gunho collab unit, and she is a looping shield that adds a lot of bulk and provides a life-saving roulette. Right now, she's the only unit that gives you a looping shield and roulette, so she is not replaceable at all. Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi is a cleric with a long-lasting time buff that makes playing with this team a breeze. Maybe you could replace this unit with Ordeal Amaterasu, but that Ordeal unit pales in comparison when it comes to Amayomi's healing potential. All of those heal OEs are desperately needed to heal through the super altitude recovery debuff and thorn damage. With Ladens, the team handles assist voids and attribute absorption shields. As a reminder, damage is calculated left to right. Therefore, the rightmost Omnimons will need the attribute absorption void Laden to deal with that mechanic. There's also a leader swap later in the dungeon, so the leader Omnimon will need the swap resist Laden. Throughout the dungeon, I'll encounter multiple fortune skill delays, so 4 SDRs on the orb generators will be ideal, but since that's impossible, I'll have to rely on Stella's roulette, so it's very important that she has 4 SDRs. Still, to reduce stalling for my orb generators and damage dealers, I'll put as many SDRs as I can. Then, when it comes to the rest of the latent slots on Stella or Amayomi, I could put RCB++ latents to make healing a little bit easier. If your equips are slightly different, you could go with HP++ latents on Stella to meet HP threshold. For example, here's a team that actually needs HP++ latents on Stella. This is a parts farming team, so I'll be stocking up as many of those awakenings as possible. I can't reach 9 just from equips, so for all super awakenings, I'll choose the part breaking awakening if I'm able to. Now, 5 out of my 6 equips will need that part break awakening, plus enough team HPs and effective skill boost to transform Joe on the first turn. All of the equips can be easily replaced with any other ones with similar awakening, save for the part break, if your goal is just to clear. As long as Stella's and the last 2 Omnimon's equips have a haste effect and maybe also counter attribute absorption shields, you should be fine with any other equips. From left to right, Ace equip could be anything that helps meet HP and skill boost needs, as the active skill won't be used at all. Amayomi has Cannons equip, which in addition to adding bulk and a part break, it also gives a heal OE to further increase this unit's healing potential. This equip's active skill doesn't matter at all, so it could be replaced with anything else, but ideally, you would rather have some heal OEs on whichever equip you use. Stella's equip should bring a haste and be ready on turn 1. The first floor delays heals by 4 turns, so keep that in mind. It's very hard to compete with Halloween Paimon's equip due to its active skill and OE awakenings, as these will help a ton against some floors. I tried to make a more budget version using Daki's belt and Metal Lakshmi's equip, but with those, I didn't have that many OEs in the team, and I failed to bring Metal Lakshmi to Super Resolve due to having too many weekend orbs, so not having enough OEs could actually cost you the run. If you don't have Halloween Paimon and have to replace this, make sure to stack enough OEs with the other equips on the team, at least 2 of each attribute. Not many of those equips have part break awakenings, so maybe you'll have to drop some of these awakenings to fit in more OEs. The equip on Joe, just like on Amayomi, is only for skill boost, bulk, and part break awakening. Now as for the last 2 equips, these can ideally be Crowdies or Lit Aggregates equip. Whichever equip you choose, they must have a haste active skill and preferably a damage awakening. So this is the team that I'll be showing, but here's a slight variation that I run on my alt account since my alt doesn't have the Gung-Ho Collab badge unit. Team building will be a little bit easier once we get the monthly exchange units buffs, which pretty much grant all of their equips a Power Break Awakening. We'll also have more options when Cerclia gets their new equip, which will be really useful on Stella. Pretty much this will be the ideal team once those buffs are live, but for now, the team that I'm showing will allow you to farm this dungeon and guarantee at least 3 gem drops. At the end of the dungeon, you'll encounter a random attribute Greg. All of these have slightly different movesets, but are all manageable. Whenever you break apart, they will prioritize a move. Break 1 and they'll get enraged and deal 1.5 damage permanently. Break 2 and they'll absorb their own attribute for 5 turns. Break all 3 and they'll remove assist for 5 turns. All of the Gregs deal a huge hit at Super Resolve that greatly reduces move time for 2 turns, plus they give you an additional debuff depending on the boss's attribute. Fire will shrink your board for 3 turns. Water will give you a negative orb skyfall for 5 turns. Wood halves your recovery for 3 turns. Light will absorb damage from 10 or fewer combos. And Dark will give a sticky blind skyfall for 5 turns. The most annoying one is the Fire Greg, because you might have to time your Stella active skill with his Super Assault moveset. During Joe turns, you will have no heal orbs on the board, so you'll need her roulette to fish them out. Be very careful if you're bringing Greg to Super Assault and breaking the last part at the same time, as Greg will prioritize the 5 turns of assist removal first, and then on the next turn hit you really hard. But why farm this dungeon at all? I would say to get lit Greg, since his second equip is great for parts farming. I feel the need to farm for that equip since I didn't and won't be rolling in a Super Gathfest anytime soon for this unit. If you already rolled him or bought his bundle, then this dungeon doesn't offer much outside of monster XP farming. You could make a system with 4 of any Gregs, but if you have a team capable of farming SN5, I don't really see much upside in chasing these Gregs. Maybe you just want to collect them. But okay, now onto the dungeon. Again, this is my team, and these are the ideal steps to follow. And no, you can't pause to read the steps. Things might get a bit tricky on some of the floors with small boards, mainly floor 7, 9, and 10. But if you can match what I suggest on these instructions, you'll be having an easy time farming this dungeon. You can for sure heal every non-boss floor by matching 4 TPAs. So if you want to clear the dungeon faster, just ensure those 4 TPAs and don't full combo the board like I do sometimes. And there you have it. If you get fire, water, or light Greg, you might have to take an extra turn or two since this team brings the boss to super resolve with Omnimon A, and those Gregs will still probably have their attribute absorption shields. Or you might need to stall for Stella's shield to deal with Fire Greg's Board Shrink if her roulette is out of 5x4 bounds. If you're playing it very safe, it shouldn't take you more than 39 turns to clear the dungeon. Hopefully this video helped. Thank you guys for watching, and a special thanks go out to AG's number 1, Breastfeeding Obama, Dark Silencers, and Hello Derpy for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.